everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
And it's game week.
One week from now. 1 week from the day.
Oh, Jerry, I see you're wearing your AFL shirt.
Yes.
The
AAFL.
Battleships. AAF.
Yeah, the
whatever
San Diego
that league
Fleet.
was.
San
Diego Fleet. This podcast is going to be about the San Diego Fleet. We're going to talk about the history of the franchise. One season, I believe.
Yeah, one season. One God. Yeah.
No, we're talking about Panthers. It's the Panthers. NFL's here. I mean, that we're a few days away from the first game and a week away from the Panthers' first game. So we're going to talk about the season. We're going to go through the schedule. We're going to give our season prediction. We're going to talk some, people that we think might pop this year. Maybe give a little awards, preseason awards. Talk a little bit about the NFC South. That we're not going to deal too much with those other teams that we hate. But we'll give them a little bit of thought as we go through this. But yeah, I mean, any news that happened I don't think there's any news that's happened since we talked. Yeah, everybody's healthy that was healthy before, and yeah, we're just gonna get right into it here, Jerry.
Yeah, let's start week one. We are traveling the Panthers are traveling to New Orleans to face Derek Carr and the Saints.
Derek Carr and the Saints. Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, all those guys that you love to hate.
Yeah.
Road game, first game of the year. Dave Canales' first game as a head coach. What you feeling? How you feeling about this one?
I'm going to err on the side of caution with traveling to New Orleans. I'm going to pick this as a loss, as the team is still getting familiar with Dave Canales and his offense system, and we lost so much on the defense. I think it's just going to struggle out the gate with who's out there learning the system.
I actually am going to go with a win here.
Okay.
I think the Panthers are going to – I think they're going to take New Orleans a little bit by surprise. I don't think Derek Carr is a good quarterback. I don't think Dennis Allen is a good head coach. We've talked about that many times, right? So I'm going to go win. I think the Panthers are going to surprise a lot of people in this game. It's going to be one of their few wins of the season, but I think it's just going to be we're all going to be real happy after this game, I think. So I'm going
even
W.
with a loss, I kind of was thinking the same thing, that this could be a win in the sense of, hey, they look pretty good. It was against the Saints, but
a moral victory.
Yeah. Week 2, the Los Angeles Chargers coming to Carolina. Go ahead.
Home opener. Home opener. Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh. I'm going to go loss on this one. I think that there is a ton of talent in LA, and not as much talent as they've had in the past. But Jim Harbaugh, I mean, already I think is, if not the best coach in the NFL, one of the top 3 or 4. I just think he's really, really good. I think he's going to get that team on track really fast. So I'm going to loss there.
I agree with that. Now, week 3, we go to the spaceship in Vegas, Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to start this one off. I think this is a win. I feel like their franchise had a plan, and it just came crumbling down. I think Antonio Pierce is a solid coach. It's just, I look at the team and I don't fear anybody besides Davante Adams, and he doesn't want to be there.
Right. Yeah, a lot of their choices this offseason were strange. They've got Gardner Minshew, as their starter, who we like.
Oh yeah, I like Minshew. Solid backup. Like, gives you a couple good games.
Yep. They lost Josh Jacobs. So they're starting Zamir White at running back. Outside of Davante Adams, it's Jacoby Myers.
Brock Bowers,
I agree with
drafted.
you. Brock Bowers could be, a sneaky good tight end, but it's going to be his 3rd game. I'm going to go win. Yeah. Got the Panthers 2-0 on the road. How about that?
Week 4, going to the jungle, Cincinnati. Oh, this one's at home. I'm sorry. Yep. The Bengals coming to Carolina. There we go. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, the Bengals coming to Carolina. I'm going to go loss here. I think, again, just the Bengals are a well-coached team that has a really talented core of receivers, especially. But yeah, loss.
They're one of the top AFC teams. I'm
Yeah,
gonna say loss too.
yeah,
Like, uh, at the rival Chicago Bears. I mean, that's the way it feels like lately.
yeah.
Um, with this, I see the. I'm gonna go win. I'm just gonna go win out of the peers. I have no clues what to expect out of Chicago Bears, but I also think you don't know what the Panthers are gonna do, so I'm just going to pull for it.
I'm gonna go loss. First of all, I don't. They can't go undefeated on the road for me, so I've got to pick a loss somewhere. But I think Chicago is, just think about where they were a couple of years ago when we made that trade to where they are now. That what a change! Like that's a team on the rise.
They made smart
Um,
moves.
yeah, their receiving core is really good now, which is not something you've been able to say about the Bears, maybe in the history of the franchise. Um, Caleb Williams, I mean, who knows? But early returns, he
Look good.
looks the part, right?
Mm.
So yeah, I think they're gonna surprise some people this year. I'm gonna go loss.
All right, Week 6 division game. Atlanta
Home game,
Falcons.
home game
Uh,
against Atlanta.
oof. While I'm thinking about this, I'll let you go.
Yeah. I think, spoiler alert a little bit. I think Atlanta's probably the team to beat in the NFC South. As much as I hate to do it, I'm gonna say loss here. Um, yeah.
I was trying to think of a way to say win at home, but yeah, I agree. It's a loss. I think that roster is really good, and I'm not sure how much this roster can compete right now with it.
I was really bummed when they hired Raheem Morris as their head coach.
Me too.
I think he's gonna be really good, and that team, yeah. If Kirk Cousins does Kirk Cousins things, and he's a pretty good regular season quarterback, so I'm not saying they're gonna win the Super Bowl by any means, but um, they've upgraded at a lot of positions. So
I mean, he's also coming off injury. You never know what's gonna
true,
really
true,
happen. So, but
true.
yeah, I have the loss here too. I think pretty simple.
Oh.
At Washington Commanders, Week 7. I'm gonna say a loss. I think Jaden Daniels hurts us in a way that this defense just couldn't handle. I think it's gonna be a close game, but I think Jaden Daniels being able to scurry away from our defense is what kills us in this game.
Yeah, if he's still healthy by then, right?
Good point.
Because he's one of those guys that you're just that it reminds me too much of RG3 in terms of just his athletic ability and his ability to throw the ball. I hope that he doesn't go the same way. Um, yeah, I really want to pick win here, but I'm gonna go loss.
All right. So right now we both are sitting at 2-5 with only Week 3 as the mutual win. So
Yeah. Well, let's see if we can get another one here. Week 8 at the Denver Broncos. What do you think?
I always and will always want to punch Sean Payton in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Panthers will do that this week. I think Bo Nix is not that great. I think they reached in grabbing him. And I think he's going to go through a lot of growing pains if he ever actually becomes a quality starter.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sean Payton is a good coach. I feel like you. I don't like him, but I do think he's a good coach. But I think that they might need a year or two to get to where they need to go. So I'm gonna go win as well.
All right. Week 9, New Orleans coming to Carolina. Carolina gets
done with New Orleans by November 3rd. That's kind of it's early. Feels
it
like,
is
right?
early, but
Yeah.
they don't expect the Panthers to be really in it towards the end of the season, so they don't care. I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair. But my prediction, Panthers get back-to-back wins here. I think that they have now gathered themselves after the first week. They understand their team dynamic better, and I think New Orleans is on the cusp of firing Dennis Allen, and that whole situation there is on fire at this point of the season.
I like that thought process. I have I picked them to win the opener.
Mm.
Um, do I think that they'll sweep the Saints? Yes, I do. Win.
All right.
All right. Now we've got the next game here is going to be at Carolina, the New York Giants. New York Giants, right? Or is it the Jets?
That's the
This is New
Giants. You're
York.
right.
Okay, New York Giants. Yeah, for some reason the schedule I copied it says New York, New York, so I don't know what that means. Um, so we've got the New York Giants coming to town. I mean, I really want to pick another win here, but I'm gonna go loss. I like Malik Neighbors. I think he's really gonna be really fun. And Daniel Jones, not a good quarterback throwing the ball, but another one of those guys that can beat you with his legs. And I'm just worried about those guys against the Panthers defense this year. So
I think we're hitting the right time to hit the Giants and the Saints. I think similar things will be happening in both organizations. I think the Giants will have a little bit more solid ground, but I also see Daniel Jones being pulled in and out of that starting lineup towards this time of season.
could be.
And,
Yeah.
and I'm calling a win. I'm going for 3 in a row, headed into the bye week. Wow. I did
Man, oh,
not see
man.
this coming.
Well, it's about to get a lot tougher from here.
Honestly, I was
Because
like,
as
I need to
Jerry
get
said,
those wins in now.
yeah. Bye week 11. You come back November 24th, week 12, home, right? Third home game in a row, third of a 4-game homestand. Pretty crazy. Against the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know that we need to talk too much about this one. I'm picking a loss.
Yeah, I'm picking a loss too.
Yeah.
Not a great team to come back to after a bye.
I mean, I guess of all teams to come back to, like at least you have the time to game plan,
Prepare.
right? But I'd rather be facing this next team, I think,
Yeah.
instead of those guys.
Yes, week 13, traveling to Carolina, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm telling you, we're facing a lot of bad teams, and I think a lot of coaches that might be on the hot seat, and I think Tom Bowles will be one of them too. I think Dave Canales helped save his job last year by making that offense run, and I don't know if it runs as well this year, and I don't know if they have the defense to keep them up. So I'm picking another win here against the Bucs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to go win as well. Bucks still have some really good talent on that team. If Baker Mayfield can do what he did last year, that's gonna still be a team right around 500, if not a little better. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see just how beneficial Canales was for Baker Mayfield, and by week 13 we'll know for sure. Right?
100%. I feel the same way with this team. I really don't know what that offense is, but I do think Canales had a big hand in it. Just like when he left Seattle, there was a noticeable drop off for Geno.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping the same. So that's a little fool's gold, I guess I could say. Hope.
Yeah. All right. So let's just look at where we are right now. Okay. So we've just finished our 4-game homestand, right? Next 3 of our last 5 are on the road. I've got 5 wins. 1, 2, 3, 4. Was it 5 and 8? I guess 5 and 7.
Mm-hmm. 1.
Yeah.
And I have 6. How did I have more than you? I thought I was.
You picked. I think you picked a win against the Giants, which isn't crazy. Like that's a good win. So what? You're 6 and 6.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. If you would have asked me before we started doing this, I would have said 5 or 6 wins total for me. But I've already got 5, and we've still got 5 games left. So let's see what happens. Week 14, we're going to be at the Philadelphia Eagles. This is another team where I feel like it's real possible that there's some turmoil with this team by then, right? Like you're not quite sure about Jalen Hurts. Like, there's some issues with him last year. There's a lot of kind of locker room strife that was going on. I'm going to choose loss because I think that's still a talented team, and it's in Philadelphia, but I think that game could be close.
I'm going loss. I think it's cold weather season in Philadelphia. They're gonna run the ball down our throats with Saquon. It's gonna hurt us. I don't. I wish we had a better chance, but I don't think we're gonna win much. Now, week 15, coming home. Dallas Cowboys come here. I'm not gonna say much. I'm not a fan of the Dallas Cowboys.
No.
I don't think they're Super Bowl ready, but I do think that they have a better roster than us, and I think they'll be winning.
They're a 10 or 11 win team,
Yeah.
regular season team. They'll lose first or second round of the playoffs as they always do. But I at 2 will say loss here. I think not Panthers not quite at that tier yet. Next game here, final home game of the season is going to be Week 16 versus the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Jerry and I just did a fantasy draft, and Jerry took the Cardinals' star rookie receiver, Marvin Harrison. Jerry, do you think Marvin Harrison is going to destroy us in this game and the Panthers lose? Or do you think the Panthers can hold him down and take the win?
It depends. Has J.C. Horn come back from his injury, or is he out for this game?
Is this his second or third injury of the year? Or, yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think he's going to eat no matter who he's playing.
Yeah.
And I think that he's going to eat mostly because they're going to be down and they're just going to be chucking the ball to him, and that he has that ability. That being said, I think the Panthers introduce him to the NFL in a loss in Carolina. So, Panthers win. Sorry, I
Panthers
did say
win.
that funny.
Panthers win. Yeah. I was trying to figure out what you meant there. Okay, so you got the Panthers winning that one. Gosh, the Panthers always play well against Arizona. I'm going to win as well.
That was kind of my second
especially
thought.
at home, right?
Yeah.
A lot of good history there.
Yeah. At Tampa Bay, Week 17, right before the new year. I think this is where I don't know who's coaching the team at this point, but I think they come up and snakebite us because in my win-loss, we are vying for that last wild card position, and it just seems like a good spot for Tampa Bay to come up and bite us and knock us down.
Yeah, and if things are going well for Tampa Bay, they're in a fight for the title of the NFC South, right? They're working for that. So I'm going to go loss as well, in Tampa Bay. And then to close out the season here at Atlanta, I'm going to go loss as well, just because I think now this one could go either way, right? Like if Atlanta is good and they've locked up the division already, we could be playing Michael Penis and, some backups, right? So it
could you say his last name again?
Michael Penis. Michael Penis.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
Every time I type his name, so this is just going to be what his name is going to be until he's no longer a Falcon. So yeah, I think I was wondering if you caught that.
If those are on YouTube, you can watch my facial reaction be like, hey, did I just hear that?
Yeah. So yeah, I've got 2 losses to close out the season here. 2 division road game losses. Like, I hate to do it, but it's what it feels like.
No, I do too. I mean, I have a loss too. I think that's the way it goes.
Which is really unfortunate. Like, it's a tough second half, though, right?
It really is.
It's a tough second half of the season.
Although the second half, I have a lot of wins in there, so that should be. I think any winnable game I had pretty much win.
Yeah, well, it's again, it was so much up in the air, right? Injury luck is going to play a huge role in how good this team is.
Yep, I have the Panthers at 7-10.
Yeah, and I'm at 6-11.
You're at 6-11. Honestly, that's kind of what I'd go with anyways, about 6-11, 7-10 would be, like, if I just did not go one by one, I would have just guessed that, so.
That's kind of what we've been talking about this whole preseason, right? Is that this is a Panthers team that we hope wins 2 to 3 times more games than they won last year, ideally three times or even more than that. But 6 wins feels right to me. I don't love how I got to 6 wins here because I would hope that at the end of the season things are looking up, but they could still be scoring more points and, you know, or there could be injury concerns, right?
Yeah.
As the season goes on with this team and they lose some starters, they're really going to start showing their lack of depth, I feel like. So I don't know. Maybe that is kind of the way it'll go. Maybe, towards the end of the season they do tail off a bit just because of injuries.
Yeah, I think ending on the road too in the NFC South didn't help the
Back
matters.
to back road division games is tough to end the season.
Yeah, I mean they're not far games, but I mean at that point, especially if you're not in it or something like that, things happen. So
Against the two teams that, a lot of folks are saying are going to be vying for the division title, right?
yeah,
Both of those games could be super important games for those teams. So we hope that they're super important games for us.
yeah, I mean that, and it could be. Let's
Yeah.
look into the NFC South now. I think we start off with Atlanta, bringing in Kirk Cousins. You have Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. I mean, they've added a lot of pieces on defense too, and it's honestly, I think they see a window open and they're going for it, and I can't blame them one bit. I think they are the team to beat, like you said. Raheem Morris is a good coach. I don't know if he's a great coach, and that coaching staff he brought in wasn't the best from what I heard, but
Yeah.
I think the roster is the best in the NFC South, and I believe in Raheem Morris anyways.
Yeah, and they made some key, kind of trades and acquisitions here just the last few weeks. Like they brought in Matthew Judon,
Mm-hmm.
who is going to be a good contributor for them.
The safety, I can't think of who they just brought in, but they had Bates in last year.
Simmons, right? Justin
Simmons, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a team that has talent. They've got a bit of depth as well. You know, Bijan and Algier are a good two-headed monster at running back with, 70-30, but Algier's a good goal line back. Their wide receivers, outside of Drake London, we got Darnell Mooney, who was pretty disappointing last year, and then Ray McLeod is listed as their third starting wide receiver. So that's a bit concerning. Now they do have Kyle Pitts, who makes up, probably the production of two wide receivers this year, I would say, right? Um, I do like Kyle Pitts. But yeah, I agree with everything you said. I mean, that it's they've got a lot of talent. I like their head coach. They upgraded at quarterback, for the regular season at least. I probably would have them winning this division.
Me too.
Yeah.
Unless something goes horribly wrong, I see them as winning the division. Just talent wise, they had the most talent.
They do, but if Kirk goes down or isn't able to play to his normal standard, that's a giant issue. I mean, I think they cut what's his face from last year.
Heineke they traded.
No, the Drake. Well, no, not Drake.
Desmond Ritter.
Desmond Ritter. Yeah.
Yeah, he was cut
he's
by
just
the
gone.
team he just went to too. So
Okay. Yeah. Well. So that just tells you how bad quarterback play was for them last year, right? And to go from that to even the 15th or 13th best quarterback in the league is a massive jump up, for Kyle Pitts. So that's going to be a big.
Your love for him is something else.
All right, let's move on to Tampa Bay. Yeah, go ahead.
Biggest question mark in the division, in my opinion, because I don't know what they did last year was fool's gold or if it was something they could really build on. With Canales only having one short season there, I mean, all the teams all the players rave about him. So it was obviously he had an impact, but how much was it him, or how much was it scheme, or can they duplicate it?
How much of what he did can be retained, right, by the team and specifically by Baker Mayfield? I think as he goes, this team will go. But really, outside of his stop here in Carolina, with the Rams, he looked competent, and in a couple of games, really good. And with the Bucks, he's looked competent, and in a few games, really good. So if he can just continue that, I mean, he's still got Mike Evans, he's still got Chris Godwin. Rashad White, I feel like, is a really underrated running back. The defense, I think, that's kind of where you look at a bit of a lack of talent, but they still do have some standouts there. And
It,
Todd Bowles is a defensive coach.
I was gonna say, as much as I rag on Todd Bowles, I don't think he's a good head coach. I do think he's a good defense
Yeah,
coordinator. So
agreed.
we'll see. Like I
Agreed.
said, big question mark in my head.
Yeah. And by the way, we're not talking any team going like 13-4 here. Like I think the Falcons could win this division at 9-8.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I don't think that there's any great team here. So I could see the Bucks winning 7-8 games and being right there.
I mean, I think any team in this division, if things click, can win it. I mean, I guess that's any division, but for our division, it is more wide open. I do
Yeah.
think Atlanta has the best roster, but you never know. It's new coaching staff and everything. So
True, true. I mean, yeah. I mean, if even Carolina, like if everyone stays healthy, Bryce takes the step. A couple of the defensive guys step up, right? Michael Jackson or Dane Jackson turns out to be really good. Jonathan Brooks comes in towards the middle of the season and just takes off, right? Has one of those special rookie years. Who knows, right? Who knows? But a team I don't think we're going to have to worry too much about is the New Orleans Saints.
yeah,
I don't like their head coach. I think he's a loser. I think he will be fired during the season this year. Derek Carr, they're going to be begging for Spencer Rattler at some point, who actually looked pretty good in the preseason.
he has talent, man. He has a
Yeah.
physical talent. It's just he hasn't been able to put it to the top tier level together yet. So
Yeah. You got Chris Olave, right? But
Mhm.
after him, not a lot at wide receiver. You do have Taysom Hill, the Swiss Army knife. Like he's always good for something, right?
Mhm.
You don't know what it's going to be, but he's going to have something interesting. And then their defense again is just, Dennis Allen's a defensive coach. I would put Todd Bowles maybe ahead of him in terms of how good I think a defensive coach he is, right?
Uh,
Um,
I agree with you. I think
yeah,
New Orleans will be searching for a new head coach and will be picking in the top 10 this year.
yeah,
I don't see it. I don't think Derek Carr's that good.
yeah,
Alvin Kamara has kind of drifted off where he used to be. I mean, it was a team that was built for 4 or 5 years ago, and
yeah.
they're still paying for kicking that money down the road, I guess. And it's just,
Yeah, I think Kamara is still good, but he's not. Kamara, I feel like is one of those guys who needs the 1A or a really high 2 with him, right? And Jamal Williams, as much as he can score touchdowns like nobody's business, he's probably not that guy that of the caliber that could make Alvin Kamara kind of rise up. But Alvin Kamara is still probably a 1,300 total yard guy, going to get 10 to 12 touchdowns. I don't think that's going to be their problem, but I think their problem is going to be at quarterback and wide receiver, mainly on offense. So I have Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Carolina, New Orleans.
I have the same. And honestly, I think after Atlanta, you could jumble them up any way you want. And I would probably be like, yeah, I get it.
True. True.
Unless you said New Orleans second, but I mean, even then, I could see the argument. Oh, they have an established quarterback, and
Yeah. They make a move, to get a wide receiver, mid-season or something. But yeah, it's I agree. I think I could see Carolina finishing second, surprising everybody with 7 wins or something like that.
yeah. I mean,
Um, I hope the Panthers can do that at the very least, but either way, it feels like another down season for the NFC South overall.
yeah, I agree. Now we got about 4 minutes left here. Bold predictions. Do you have one?
Yeah, I do think that Bryce Young is going to take a step this year. I think Bryce Young is going to end up with 4,000 passing yards this season, and he will at least double his touchdown interception ratio in terms of like a 2-to-1, at least. So yeah, I would say that Bryce proves to us that he is the guy moving forward and has a really good season.
My bold prediction is Chuba Hubbard takes a step
I knew
forward.
you were going to say Chuba Hubbard.
He's going to rush for 1,200 yards rushing. He's
Okay,
going to
rushing
keep
alone.
Jonathan Brooks at the second spot for the whole season as he is running well. Now, I do think he starts getting more and more carries towards the end, but I'm saying 1,300 yards rushing.
Wow.
Chuba Hubbard.
So you even went up. You said 1,200. Now you're at 1,300.
I'm at 13 because you know what? I thought he was at almost 1,000 last year. To go up 200 yards, you know what? Let's make it bold. Let's go 1,300. Again, this is bold. I'm not putting money on this.
Yeah.
So,
and likely he'll have a 200 or 300 receiving yards as well, right? I mean, that's kind of what he usually does. So that's a big season.
That's a great season, and
that's
I also
a season
think
that'll get him paid.
And I
not
think
by
Canales
us.
is going to feed him too. I think.
Yeah.
Well,
he wants to run the ball exclusively, almost. It seems. Yeah.
But I agree with you too. I think Bryce Young's going to have a pretty solid year.
I mean, I'd be happy with like 3,500 yards, 25 and 13 or something, right? Like that feels like it would be a nice step.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think that's exactly kind of what I was hoping for is like 3,600, 25 touchdowns, 10 to 13 interceptions, stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know. We're going to have to, I'm going to have to call you back. We got more to talk about.
Okay, we'll be right back.
We got more to talk about.
And we are back from our short intermission.
Okay, so I want to ask you. Hang on, let me close this bright thing down. Okay. Let's say Bryce does not take a step, right? Let's say he's slightly better than his stats from last year. I don't think he'll be worse. But let's say he's like 3,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 13 interceptions. The Panthers end up with 4 wins, right? And a top 5 pick. Okay. And you look at some of these quarterbacks that are coming out next year that look like they might go in the top 5. If you're Dave Canales and Dan Morgan, this is not the guy that you drafted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you draft one? Do you draft one of those guys? Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't. If you're 4 and what is it now?
13,
top 5 pick. You have a quarterback on that board that you like. You think is better than Bryce Young. You pull the trigger.
Yeah. There's gonna be so many good wide receivers next year too. Like I would almost. I mean, obviously, I hope, but if for some reason they are picking in the top, 7, 8, and they're not going quarterback, man, I know we need an edge rusher. But one of those wide receivers, like that one kid that had like 300 something yards receiving, I've just been watching some videos of him. Of course, I don't remember his name, but there's going to be some really good ones. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think as much as they're talking up Bryce, and as good as he did look on that one drive, and some of the things we've seen in training camp, I think if he has another mediocre or poor season, this kid's 5'11", and he's slight, and if he's now got 2 seasons under his belt of not looking like a number 1 pick starting quarterback, I think you have to move on.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's what I'm saying.
I hate it, and I hope it doesn't happen. You do too, of course.
Yeah,
but I think that's what it looks like. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's just kind of run down. Do you have anything else before we kind of start running down maybe some of these preseason awards?
No.
Okay. All right. Let's start with Rookie of the Year. Who is the Rookie of the Year going to be for the Panthers?
I know. I'm thinking. I didn't know we were doing this one, so I was.
Oh, we always do this one. Chip.
I know, but I was a little less prepared today. Okay, I apologize.
Shame.
I know, shame on me.
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go Trevin Wallace.
Mm.
I think he is quickly going to find himself leading linebackers in snaps. And I just don't know about Leggett. I think Sanders may be a little too raw, and Brooks missing so much time early. And like you, I think Chuba could have a big year. So I think Trevin Wallace is going to be that guy.
I'm
I've been
actually gonna.
so impressed with him so far, right?
I
So
get that.
impressed.
I get that, and I'm gonna go Jatavion Sanders. I think he's gonna become that tight end that you're wanting. You're wanting someone who's like a Pro Bowler consensus, but
Eventually, but I would be super happy if Jatavion Wallace
or
looked like
Sanders.
Oh, sorry. Jatavion Sanders, yes.
But yes, I think he'll end up becoming the starting tight end without much question that he's our number one pass catcher tight end.
I hope so, man. If he's got like 500, 500 yards and 6 touchdowns or something, I'm gonna be really happy about that.
Oh, that's ecstatic. That's
yeah,
top 15.
Something we haven't had in a long time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, next award. What you got?
Are we talking
just like offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year,
yeah,
MVP,
offensive
like
player
that,
of the year.
Offensive player of the year. All right. I'm gonna steal yours and just go Chuba.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with mine as Chuba because if he's running for 1,300 yards, he's gonna look good. He's gonna want to get paid, but it won't be here.
Even if Bryce has a 3,800 yard, 20 something touchdown season, I think Chuba could still kind of be the reason the offense flows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, defensive player of the year. You're gonna have to go first.
I am gonna go something crazy. I am gonna go J.C. Horn.
Oh man, that's who I was thinking. But
I think he's some reason miraculously stays healthy, forces the Panthers to pay him.
Yeah,
and I think he's a great corner when healthy, and that's all I've got.
I like it, and he's where I would go too. I'll just kind of give a little shout out to, I think Jatavion Clowney is going to have a double-digit sack season, which is going to be extremely needed by this defensive line. So I'm gonna go Horn, but I think Clowney will be up there.
And building on your Jatavion Clowney, I think Derek Brown and Ashawn Robinson, they might not get the fun stats that everyone likes, but I think they are going to be a gruesome pair in the middle.
Yeah, Brown might really be.
He'll probably be the MVP, but it's just it's not the fun stats. He's the
it's not, and he's not a guy that's going to put up Aaron Donald type numbers, right? But in terms of what he does, he's one of the best. And when I say defensive line, I really mean edge rushers, right? That's kind of what I'm talking about with the deficiencies, because you're right. Like, those guys are going to be nasty all season. Let's go with who's going to be your disappointment of the year.
I'm going to hate
and
this.
We'll end on a high note, but let's go this one.
I'm going to go Xavier Leggett. And this is where I'm going with this. I think he's 4th on the depth chart right now, and I think the other guys are just going to keep him down. I think that he's not producing in camp or in practice, or he doesn't look the part. It's just Mingo takes a step. Johnson wants that contract, and I think Thielen is Thielen, and Thielen's very beneficial to a young quarterback.
Yeah. I'm going to go a little untraditional in my reasoning here, but I'm going to go Ian Thomas. Okay. And only because I think he's going to block well enough to earn the majority of the snap share at tight end. That's going to be really disappointing to me.
I'm going to start a GoFundMe to get you an Ian Thomas jersey one day. I swear I'm going to do it.
Oh, please don't. Please don't. I only have so many matches. All right. Let's see. I don't really have a positive one to end on. Do you? Surprise of the year? Surprise of the year. Let's go
surprise of the year.
Surprise of the year.
I don't think this would be a surprise now, but earlier in the training camp and stuff, Jonathan Mingo goes for close to 1,000 yards. We'll say 750. Looks the part. People are, oh, wow, I can't believe we overestimated how bad he was just because of the whole situation last year. And I think he looks good. I think he gets 50 catches or so, 750 yards, something silly, number 2, number 3 type of numbers.
I almost chose him as my disappointment of the year.
Oh.
I almost did, but I don't want to will it into existence. I want him to be good. So, but I do worry a little bit about him. My surprise of the year is going to be J.C. Horn because I think he's going to play 17 games. And that's going to be a great surprise to all of us. He's going to earn a massive contract extension.
And then he can
and never be healthy again.
The sad thing is, I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, that's what's going to happen. He's going to stay healthy and then never be healthy again for us.
Here's one more question. Let's say the Panthers are sellers at the trade deadline, right? They're trying to recoup picks for next year, get younger, get better. Who is the most likely player to be traded at the trade deadline?
Probably Adam Thielen.
I think that makes sense, right? I could see Chuba.
I could see Chuba. I could even see Jatavion Clowney, even though he has a 2-year deal.
You know who the answer is? Miles Sanders.
Oh.
That's the answer. He'll have a couple of games where he looks good and has, big breakaway runs, things like that. And I could see the Panthers maybe getting like a 6th-round pick for him.
Yeah.
At the trade deadline.
I could see that. Like
when, most of his salary's already been paid for the season and stuff.
Hypothetically, Dallas, who just has Ezekiel Elliott and just signed Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Neither one of them look like the players of old and are averaging 3 yards carry or 2 yards per carry. Yeah. Could see that.
Yep. I could even see Philadelphia, if they have some issues at running back.
Like if Saquon gets hurt.
Right. Which, not impossible, right? All right. Anything else we wanted to do today?
Nope.
All right. We'll be back soon after Jerry does his thing. I'll do mine. Go ahead. Sorry, George.
Thank you for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. If you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on show. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. I'm bouncing the mic around now. I'm having way too much fun.
The audio listeners will love that. We'll be back. We'll be back in a few days to preview Carolina Panthers versus the New Orleans Saints. I think that we're gonna target Friday to release that.
Friday.
Gonna try Friday this year. You guys let us know. You want those earlier? We'll do our best. But let us know what you think. Until next time, everybody stay safe and